Okay, so we have a very interesting day today. As you can see, there is only one bot building exercises which says calculate hash climb. That does not mean we'll build the bot and we'll end up the session. So trust me, this bot building will take till the end of the time. We might even extend our training today by a couple of minutes more because it's a very huge complex example. So what exactly we are trying to do over here? So let me guide you through it. So we have a website. The website name is called as acme-test.uipath.com. So you can copy this URL. So it says acme-test.uipath.com. So ideally we'll have to first log in into the website. So let me just quickly log in into this website. Okay. And basically, this is a website built by our team itself. So it's built by UiPath itself. So I'll tell you what is the role or what is the job of this website that we have built. So ideally, this ACME, ACME ACME is basically we call it as a a financial organization. Any finance organization that you have in the world. So it's just a replica of that, a small replica of that, because we can't create a big clone of the entire organization. So we just created a look-alike feature of what a financial institution or what a financial organization might do in their day-to-day work. So basically, as I said earlier, so we have around 6,000 plus customers using UiPath with us. So we have a lot of finance people also working using UiPath for their day-to-day life. So any financial activities that we do, so basically we'll have to go here and we'll do it over here. So over here, we have a couple of exercises that we have built in, and you'll have to run or build the bot and then run the exercises on this website. So what we're trying to do is any organization or any big MNC companies, how they build the bot and how exactly do they use the bot for the day-to-day job. We will try to see a gist of it today, as in what is actually a process, how do you define a process, what is the requirement from the process, as in this is what I have to do. So we'll read that document first, and then with the document in hand we will start building the bot that we have. So ideally what you have to do is, if you want to see the questions that we have, you have to just hover the mouse on user option, and then there is something called as download client and support. Click here, and then we have a couple of 5 exercises. So we'll be only doing these exercises called as work item 5, or we ideally call this as WI5. So I'll just click on this, and here is the document that speaks about what is this process all about. So the project name is called as, or the process name is called as calculate client security hash. And this is a document which explains about the project, as in what is the requirement. And this document is called as process design document, or we also say it as PDD. So PDD stands for process design document. So what exactly is the document definition? So I'll explain you in a very layman language. So if an organization says I have a requirement, I have to build a bot. So this is the process that I want to build a bot on, or this is the process that I want to automate it. So ideally, on a scenario, the developer will not go on the first hand and then he will start, or he or she will start directly building the bot. So it's a series of people who go first before the developers. So most of the time it has to be the business analyst who goes and understands the business response need from them. Then we have project managers, team leads, everyone interacting with them, and then everything is sorted, everything is documented, and then the document is passed on to the developers so that they can see this document and they can build the automation. So this is the document that is all the business analyst, project manager, or XYZ person who is above the role of RPA developers. They'll go to the customers, they'll meet the customers, they'll gather all the information about what you have to do, what is that is need to be done, what is that is not need to be done. They'll gather all the piece of information, and then they'll document it into a document called as PDD, and then they'll send it across to the developer. So let us quickly, go ahead and see this document. So I'll not be, wasting a lot of time in this document. So probably I'll just take you across the page where, the actual flow is stated. So this is the actual flow of the website, or this is the actual flow of the process that you want to build. So what does this process say? So the process says start, as in this is where you will start your automation. And let me just zoom in if people is not able to see it. Yeah, okay, cool. So now it says login into the Acme website. So this is the first part. Let us go ahead and do that. So it says the very first part, it says login into the Acme website, which I've already done. I have logged in into the Acme website. This part I've already done. Next it says access work item on the dashboard. So you can see this is the dashboard. It says access work item. So this is the work item here. It says access work item. So I'll click on work item. What is the second step? What is the third step? It says select an activity of the type WI5. So it says type equal to WI5. So you can see over here, there are columns here and the column name type is over here. So you need to select only those activities where the type is WI5. So just a second, since I've already ran this automation, let me, reset the data. Okay, cool. So it says login, then click on work item, and then it says only choose the element where WI5 is, sorry, where the type is WI5. So this is the first WI5 element that I encountered. So I have to click on that. There you go. What's the next step? It says copy client information from this detail page. So it says copy the client information from this page. So you can see this is the client information that I need to copy. So what I need to copy? I need to copy the client ID. I need to copy client name, and I also need to copy the client country. This is the three things that I need to copy. Okay, assuming I have copied this, then it says open SHA1 website and enter the correct formula. Okay, it says open SHA1 website. So we'll see what is the link for SHA1 website. This is the link for SHA1 website. So it says open SHA1 website. So this is the link for the SHA1 website. And if you see carefully over here, it says enter the correct formula. Now, what is the formula? This is the formula, as in client ID hyphen client name hyphen client country. So let us open this and let me write it in this order the formula is written, as in first comes the client ID, then a hyphen, then comes the client name. So I'll just copy a client name. I'll put the client name here. Then the last requirement is I also need to copy client country. So it is hyphen client country, and this is done. Okay, where is the document? Okay, so just a second. So ideally I clicked on the same link here. I'll just let me copy this and let me paste it here. I'll come back to the document from here. Okay, nice. Okay, so let us see what have we done so far. So a very step is login into the Acme, done. Access work item, done. Select an activity of the type WI5, that is also done. Copy the client information, that also we have done. Open SHA1 and enter the correct formula. Open SHA1, enter the correct formula, that is also done. The next thing is retrieve the client security hash code from the website. So what you need to do is you need to click on this button, and then this is the hash key that is generated. So it says retrieve this information, as in copy this information and then come back. What does it say now? It says go back to the work item page and open update work item. It says come back here and do what? Open the update work item page. So you can see there is an option called as update work item page. I'll click here There you go. So this is the work item page that has been opened up. What is the next thing? Set the status to complete. Okay, so it says set the status to complete. There you go. And the hash key as a comment. So if you remember, we copied that hash key. So you have to add the hash key as a comment here. And then click on update work item. Perfect. So it says your work item has been updated, and then we'll close this. So this we have done only for one WI5 element. Now let us go back again to the work item page. So you can see the status is marked as completed. Then you have to again go and figure out where is the next WI5 element. Again, click on this WI5 element here and again do the same thing. Copy this information, the ID, name, country, paste it here, get the security key again, then again, go and click on update work item, then set the status to completed, add the hash security key over here, update the work item, and then done. Then again, come back to the work item, then, navigate for where is the third WIF element and do this for all the WIF element that is present in this website. I hope this use case is clear to everyone. Any question or any doubt?
So will
Yes,
the
clear.
document be shared to us?
Yep, I'll share you the link. You can download the document from there, or probably I can also share the link and the document both.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so can we start building the bot now?
Sir,
Yes.
excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, whether we need to log into the Acme system, whether we need to register for the same,
Yep, you need
or
to
we,
register first, and then you can log in into the website.
or whether we can directly can we take from the Chrome, or whether we will get any link or something.
No, you'll have to just open this website. That's it, nothing
Okay,
else.
okay.
So it's the website is this one, acme-test.uipath.com. So if you want, I
Okay,
can paste the URL here. There you go.
okay. Thanks.
And the document is also there. So I'm not sure whether you guys can open it via, if you can open it, you can use the document and check. Okay. So let us go ahead and start building this application. Before that, let me just reset the data. So resetting the data will put everything back to 0 and then we can start from there. Okay. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I'll use this example or I'll run this application on Internet Explorer. So instead of using Chrome, I'll be working on Internet Explorer here. Okay, nice. So let me just open this website here. So this is the Acme website. Correct. So let us start building this bot. So I'll just mute everyone. I could hear a background noise. If anybody have doubt, please, unmute yourself and speak. Okay. So let me just create a new process. Let me choose the folder that we were working with. Nice. I'll select this. Let me give a name. So I'll say this is, WI5. So you guys can understand it. What is this example? And let me create it. Okay. So now what we will do is we'll break this application, multiple parts. Best practices keeping in hand, as in we will not do the entire thing in one sequence or one flow chart. We will break down into multiple sequences or multiple flow charts, and then we will, build this complete automation. Because breaking it into multiple parts, helps us to understand the code very well, and it also maintains the code in a much readable manner so that it's easy to understand the code even for you also, because you have to make changes, so you don't have to scroll down to the entire single workflow and then make changes. You can make subdivisions and you can only change that module over there. So let us go ahead and let me just open this also so that we can come to know what we have to do. Okay, so the very first topic says login into the Acme. Cool. So I'll just create a new sequence and I'll name it as, login Acme, which makes sense. So this, okay, so login Acme, so which makes sense that this workflow or this sequence is only responsible to log in into the website, nothing else. Okay, so let us go ahead and do. So ideally, what is the first thing that we need to do? So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to open up the browser. So we know the activity now. So the activity name is called as open browser. Drag and drop it over here. There you go. Now, what you need to
Sir,
do,
so
uh,
I logged into the Acme website, but I'm not getting
ma'am, there's a
anything.
lot of disturbance from your side. We're not able to hear you.
Sir, I logged in into the Acme website, but I'm
Mhm.
not getting anything in that.
Not getting a
Means it is blank.
prob. No, the website works.
No,
I.
I logged in. I registered first, and
Mhm.
then I logged into it.
So if you log in, you will get a home page for sure.
Yeah, home page I got, but that work items and all, that all are blanks.
Mm, that should not be a problem, ma'am. It comes every time. Probably you can try to refresh a browser and see.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
same problem for me also.
Okay. So I'll make sure you just put acmetest.uipod.com. I hope so. This is the link that I've shared here. Correct. Okay. And let me just log in into it. So if you are, using it for the first time, so I'll say as in, you need to first reset the data and then try doing that. Reset the data and then try doing that. So we go to user option and then say reset the test data. There you go. Now you can come back here and then check if the work item is there or not.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So in the chat box also I can see the same thing. People have said reset the data. Correct. That is the correct thing. Okay. So let me just log out from here. Nice. Okay. So we'll start building the automation. So we have to just open a link over here. So what is that link? So the link is this acme-test.uipath.com. So within the double quotes, I'll paste the URL over here. Now, what do we do after the URL? As in what I do after I log in or after the website is, opened up. I need to type my email address and then I need to type my password. So I know which activity it is. It is simply a type into activity. So let me go ahead and drag and drop the type into activity. This is for the username and this is for the password. So I'll say indicate on the browser. Where do I need to type? This is for the email and this is for the password. So these are the two things that I need to say. So this is the username and this is my password. Now I can type my username directly here in the double quotes. So I'll say this is my username for that website. Okay, nice. And the password. So I don't want to, show my password to any third person. So for that also we have an activity. The activity name is called as get password. So I'll drag and drop the password here. Now you can see this get password in the properties section. We have two things here. The very first thing is that you need to pass the password. So I'll just type my password. So you'll have to make sure that whenever you're typing password in the get password activity, the password should not include double quotes. You have to only simply type the password without the double quotes. So I'll just pass my password here. There you go. And then you can see there's a result variable, which is an encrypted password. You can store your password here in a variable. So I'll just create a new variable and I'll say the variable name is PWD, which makes sense. It's a password. So what happens here is whatever the password that you have written here, now this password is stored in a variable called as pwd. Now what I can do is in the type into activity, I can directly pass my pwd variable here. So this is my password is done, and that is how I can secure my password to everybody from everyone. So I'll just make sure we do simulate click here, and I'll make sure we do simulate click here. And what else is remaining? Login is remaining. So for login, it has to be a click activity, and I'll switch back and I'll say click on the login button. Perfect. So let me just run this workflow and see if things are working fine. So ideally we are hoping, okay, nice. So you can see now the login has been performed successfully, but I'll show you the best practice way to do it, as in, what are the things that can go wrong. So the very first thing that can go wrong here is, let's say for example, I said, this is the website that I want to work with. Okay? So I said, my website is loading, and now you can see as the internet connection is stable here, so you can see the web page has loaded successfully. There might be a time, or that might be a problem where it says, or this scenario can happen that the website has not loaded successfully. So you'll have to make sure you handle those kind of scenarios also. So those comes under the best practices. So how do you make sure the website has loaded successfully, or if there's an error in the web pages? So one of the way that how we solve is, we check for any elements that is present in the screen. Let's say for example, I check this element, as in if this login is present or not, or if this email address or password is present or not, or if this login button has been generated or not. So if any of this text, or if any of this information is available in the web page, then I can say yes, the web page has loaded successfully. So most of the pages, most of the web pages, what happens is you have a textual information, and also you have an image in the same web page. So ideally, if you see, text loads faster when compared to an image. So at that scenario, what you can do is you can check if this image has particularly loaded or not. So if this image has loaded, then you can easily say that the web pages has been successfully loaded, and then you can proceed further. So here I'll show you how can you maintain best practices here. So ideally I'll show you the best practices only for this page, login page, but you'll have to make sure that you keep this best practices for each and every page that is that you're going to build. So how do I include the best practices here? So for that, we have an activity. The activity name is called as element exist. So the very first thing that I need to do is, whenever I'm opening up a browser, right after that, I'll say, I want to check if this web page has successfully loaded or not. I'll say indicate on the screen, and then I have to indicate any one of this, tags from this page, so that I can say if this is loaded, then I can say the web page has loaded successfully. So ideally I'll say login. So I'll just use this login here. So I'll say this one. So what I am trying to say is, if the element exist is able to figure out whether login is there in the page, then I can say the web page has successfully loaded. So if I click on the element exist, and if I click on the properties section, you can see the output. The output is a Boolean variable. Can you see this? The output is a Boolean variable, wherein it is going to give you a true or a false. It will give you true only when the login is present. If the login is not present, it is going to give you a false. So now it's up to you, how do you want to build a logic? So ideally I'll use an if else. So I'll drag and drop an if. Before that, I need to assign it to a variable. So this element exists, I'll assign it to a variable. So I'll say is login page loaded. Okay, so I've created a variable called as is login page loaded. So if this element exists, so is login page loaded will be true. If this login is not available, then I'll say the element or the variable is false. So in the if condition, I'll pass the variable is login page loaded. If the login is loaded successfully, then what I can do is I can say go ahead and do the following things, as in enter the username, enter the password, and then click the submit button. So you can say it in this way. In the else part, it's up to you whatever logic you want to build. So ideally right now, I'll show you how to use a log messages also. So we have an activity called as log messages. So I'll use a log messages here in the true condition, and I'll also use a log condition here in the false condition. So logging level will just be an info, and over here I'll say login page loaded successfully. Perfect. I'll use the same kind of information here in the else part. Over here, I will say login page unsuccessful or login page not loaded. Whatever you want to feel, you can write it over here. So if this element exists, then it's going to show you true or false. If it is true, it will go here. If it is false, it is gonna go here. So let me run this application. Okay, so you can see it has already logged in. That means we can see the log messages here. So you can see the log message says login page loaded successfully. That means it went into this true condition, that is it then part, and then it executed each and everything. Now there's one thing which we are missing over here. I'll tell you what exactly we are missing here is when I look at the selector for this, you can see here the selector code says only H1. Now people, who are comfortable with HTML programming languages, so probably you might be able to understand this. So this is basically an H1 tag. Our UiPath selector has only identified what kind of tag is it. He's not able to, recognize what is the actual text in this head1 tag. Let's say, for example, tomorrow, if I change this entire page and instead of log in over here, I say log out or I say welcome and I keep it as H1 tag itself. In that case also, our automation will say, yes, the element exists, and then he'll proceed further. So that is going to be a problem for us. So you'll have to make sure that you'll have to check the selector if the selector has been generated successfully or not each and every time. So how do we solve this? As in what I want is I want login to be written in the selector because each and every time my selector has to look if login is there or not. If it's only H1, any text which is written in H1 tag will be considered as true and then my automation is going to fail. So how you can solve that? You can solve it via the UI Explorer. So in the academic course, you have learned about UI Explorer. Today, I'll tell you what exactly UI Explorer is responsible for. So there's an option here called as UI Explorer. So you can click on this UI Explorer. It takes some seconds to load, and this is the UI Explorer that comes up. Now, if you see this UI Explorer, it's basically a pretty new screen that comes up. So you can see there is a hell lot of sections here. So you have the two sections here, the middle section, right section over here. Now I'll tell you what exactly UI Explorer is all about. So UI Explorer gives you the detail of the page, as in from the root level. So if you see here, it says there is a desktop. In the desktop, there is an Internet Explorer which is opened up. The website name is Acme. And then these are all the tags in that page. So it gives you information from the root level or each and every detail of the application that you're currently working with. And if you can see here on the right hand side of my screen, you can see all the unselected items, as in which the selector could not include by himself, those are present here. So you can see this is what I am interested in, the login. So I'll just Click on this. So now you can see the selector. Now it says H1 tag, and also the text should be login. You can validate it. Click here. A green symbol means it has been validated successfully. Click on save. You can see now the selector got changed here. Now it says even if the tag is H1, the text should be login. I'll click on OK. Perfect. I'll just mute everyone. I can see a lot of disturbance. Okay. So now you can easily see that my code is going to work for sure because I have taken care of, the missing selector that was available. That is the login name. Now, if I run this example is going to run for sure. No issues at all. So let me just run this also for you. Perfect. Now, if you see when the bot was running, the bot was only able to perform as in enter the email, enter the password, click on the login button, and then the automation stops. The bot was not able to see if this page was successfully loaded or not. Because when you do a login, you also have to make sure that, the login page is loaded successfully or not. So that is also best practices that you'll have to make sure that you follow each and every time now. So how do you make sure that, this landing page is successfully loaded or not, as in the login successfully happened or not? Again, the same thing, you can look for some information from here. So ideally you can take if dashboard is available, or if you can only check if your username is available, then you can make sure that, the landing page has loaded successfully or not. So how do we solve that? As in, after I click on the login, automatically the automation stops. It is going to open up this page, but it will not confirm whether this page has loaded or not. So right here, I'll choose the activity that is the element exist activity, and I will check the element. So probably I'll check this here, this username only. Now, if you look at the selector for this, you can see strong is a tag, HTML tag, and I'm not able to see the inner text or the text for this strong tag. Again, how do I solve this? Click on the UI Explorer. On the right hand side, you can see this part here. I'll just validate it. The selector is correct. Green wins correct. I'll save it. Now you can see the selector has been updated. I'll say okay. So now this is going to work perfectly fine for me. Now what I'll do is I'll put an if here. Before that, I'll say since it's a Boolean variable, I'll have to check if it is true or false. So I'll create a variable. I'll say is login success. I can choose the variable name as this way. So I'll say is login success. And then I'll pass this variable here. Sorry, this is not the variable. So the variable is login success. And then ideally, I'll just put a log messages here. That's it. So with an info information saying login success. And then over also here info which says login unsuccessful. There you go. Probably just a typo here, I'll solve that. Now if I run this code, you can see that after it is clicking on this login button, the bot will take a little time to check if this element is present or not. Could you see that? You are able to see this page. Ideally, until the last time, you are not able to see this page. Now, if I go and look at the output, you can see the log messages. It says login page loaded successfully. So login page loaded successfully means this is information that is getting displayed. And then what does the next information says? It says login success. So how come you are able to see login success? Because my element exist was able to figure out this text information from the page. and the condition was true, it went to the then part, and then this log message was executed. I hope this makes sense. So people would think like it was just, a simple login application, but I have complicated it. So trust me, this is the way that you have to, build the application so that your application is very stable, is very robust. So you'll have to make sure that you think of all the worst case scenario that can happen, and you'll have to make sure that each and everything, is taken care of when you are running this bot. I'll pause here for a couple of minutes. If people have doubts, please unmute yourself. And till that time, I'll also look at the chat box if I have missed any questions from here.
Can we use this application built by using recording?
Yes, we can do web recording here for sure.
Oh.
Okay. What's the difference between AA name and inner text? So it's basically an HTML tag, sir. So either you can go ahead. So you'll have to make sure that your HTML concepts, you can understand that. So it does not matter whether you go with AA name or inner text, or you can also, pull both of them together in a single selector to make sure that, you're much more stronger over there. Anup says, is it possible to pop up window to show this info? I did not understood your question, Anup. Okay, so
now it is available. We can see the message in the log window. Instead of that, is it possible to give the pop-up window?
yes, you can put a message box and then you can always, print a message. So instead of log, you can print a message box. But then a message box, requires human intervention. So the message box will say, click on OK, then only it will proceed further. So it's up to you, how do you want to implement it? But ideally, we put a lot of log messages, So the reason why we put a log messages is, it helps you in a kind of debugging. Let's say, for example, in the near future, this automation, fails at a certain point of time. And then, you'll have to figure out why it is failing or where it is failing. So log messages helps you to figure out, at what point the automation has failed. So you can add a log messages in each and every activity or each and every part that is happening. So here I was checking if the login page has loaded successfully or not. So if in case, if this log messages was not printed to me, then I would have easily known that there is some error here itself. So I can easily go and rectify it. So it's very important to, keep on putting log messages because it helps you to find the error if something goes wrong. Any other questions?
So why it is Internet Explorer instead of Google Chrome?
Why it is internet? Okay, so one of the reason is because probably at the end when we are at the verge of completing this automation, so basically what happens is there's a pop-up window which comes up. So ideally it's difficult to manage that pop-up window. It's not that we cannot do it, but it's unnecessary pain taken for it to make sure that pop-up window works, wherein if the pop-up window in the Internet Explorer can be easily managed over here. That's the only reason.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when I'm doing email automation, I'm not able to log in. Although I provided the correct email address and password, but it's showing security alert.
On this Acme system?
Yes, yes.
I'm not sure, ma'am. What is it? I think so. The website is causing a problem, right? Were you able to log in without the bot?
Yeah, without the bot, I'm able to log in. But using that bot, if you're doing this email login automation, then I'm not able to log in into it.
So what is the exception that is thrown up?
Exception, actually, I didn't remember it, but in mail, it's showing me security alert.
Okay. So probably you can post that in the Google Classroom later. So will help us to figure out what exactly went wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So any other questions, anyone? I hope people have understood the best practices that we're doing. And also you'll have to make sure that, make sure that why is this if using, so make sure you annotate it, you add a comment saying, why are you using this if? So make sure you always comment your code. Each and every activity should be commented. Why is this log message? What is this type into activity? What is this get password doing? What is this type password doing? So what is this click button responsible for doing? So make sure that each and every activity is commented. Either you can use an annotation, or you can directly comment here, or you can use the comment activity. So there are 3 ways in which you can comment your code. Either use the comment activity, or you use the annotations to comment it, or most of the time you can directly, write your messages here itself in the activity itself. Okay, so let us proceed further and quickly, we will complete, because we have only done the login part. So we have to do a lot of stuff now. So let us go ahead and look what is there next. So it says access the work item. So what do you mean by access the work item? So basically it's like click on the work item. So that is easy. We'll only create an activity which is only responsible to do that thing only. So let me create a new sequence, and I'll say, I'll name it as access work item. Okay. Perfect. Now there is also one best practices, that you need to do is, as in, since we are, using multiple workflows, so we know the flow. First, the login will be called, and next access work item will be called. But you'll have to also make sure that this access work item knows what was the last page. That means what is the last page from where he has to take the control. So to do that, we have an activity. The activity name is called as attach browser. So what do you mean by attach browser is, so basically you want to attach this page, as in this is the page from where you have to continue. Now you can say the rest of the activity, that is the click activity. And then you can say, where do I need to click? I need to click on work item. Now, this is again a best practices, and why you need to do is one of the ways. If you can attach a browser in between, and then it helps you to run only this piece of information, as in only run the work item. Now let's say, for example, I have logged in it, and then I'm without login, probably I'll say I want to run this. That is not possible because I haven't attached this page. So if the login is successful and I have also attached this workflow, I can only run this individually. So instead of saying run file, wherein I put everything into the main, I can say directly run file from here. So it will first attach this page, and then you can see it has clicked on work item. I hope this makes sense. Okay, so let us go ahead further and then look at what is the next thing. It says select an activity of the type WI5. Okay, so let me just create a sequence. So I'll say, or I'll name it as WI5. I'll say access only the WI5. So I'll say access WI5. So what do we want to do over here in this web page is, I need to only access only the WI5 element. Now it's next to impossible for me to identify how many WI5 element I have, because this page is randomly generated. If you do a reset data, now I have 11 records into it. Ideally, some of you would have 7 records, 8 records, some of you would have 13, 15 records. So the page is also dynamic, as in there is no fixed element present each and every time. And you also do not know where is the W5 element that is going to be present. So what we can do is, we can scrape the entire data from this page. As in, I'll scrape entire data, all the elements, whether it's WI3, WI5, WI4, whatever is it, I'll scrape each and everything. And after I have scraped all the data, I'll filter out and I'll only take WI5. That is the easiest way to do it. So I'll tell you what is the logic that we're going to apply. What you're going to do is, we will scrape the entire data from this page. Once the scraping is completed, I'll only filter out the WI5 element and then I'll proceed further. So how do I scrape it? So everybody knows how to scrape it. So we'll do data scraping. Now you can see I am not attaching, the file here, attach browser, because data scraping also attaches browser. If you see data scraping, the very first step in data scraping is data scraping attaches a browser for himself. So that's the reason I'm not explicitly saying attach browser here. So I'll go ahead and I say data scraping. We know this window, I'll click on next. Now this is going to be a strange data scraping. If I click on any one of this cell element, you can see this is a new window which comes up. We haven't seen this window yet. Let us read what is the information present in this window. It says, you selected a table cell. Would you like to extract the data from the whole table? So you can see how smart is UiPath data scraping. He can also distinguish between whether the data that you want to scrape is a tabular data or whether it's a row column data, or either it's only a columnar data as we did in the Amazon page. Now he says, it looks like you're trying to scrape a table. Do you want to scrape the entire table? I'll say, let me mute people. Okay. So I'll say, yes, I want to scrape the entire data from the table. So now you can see that our data scraping is able to extract the entire table from here. As you can see, the first data is empty. Reason because these are not textual data, these are the images or the icons. So obviously you can't scrape that for sure. How many records do you want? I'll say I want 0. 0 means I want each and everything. I don't want only a particular data because I want entire W5 to be present. I'll say I want the entire WI5 data to be present. Then what? Click on finish. What does it say? Is the page spanning in multiple pages or is the data spanning in multiple pages? I'll say yes. Where do I click? I'll click here. Perfect. So now you can see this data scraping. Data scraping, the very first activity is attach browser. And then over here, you are scraping the data. So it stores the information in extract data table. Okay, now for the sake of simplicity, to understand whether the scraping has been successfully completed, I'll store it in an Excel file. Ideally, we are not going to store it because our automation process does not say store the information into the Excel file, but only for our understanding, I'll save it into the Excel file and let us see if the data is successfully scraped or not. So let me give the workbook a name. So probably I'll say this is all items. And it is extension is going to be .xlsx. I'm not sure about the range. I'll only give double quotes. Perfect. So this is the web page, and I can say now scrape the data. So now you can see it is spanning in multiple pages now. So page 3, page 4. Ideally, we want him to go till the last page, that is page number 11. Okay, so now you can see he's at page number 11, but you can see still the automation has not stopped. The reason is because the UiPath data scraping element, he's trying to look whether there is next page or not. He's still trying to look if I can see the next page or not. He will try to do this for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, if we see there is no other page where I can scrape data, then he will continue for the rest activities that I have. As in after the scraping, we have the read range activity. Oh, it was the write range activity. Did we use the read range or write range? Okay, I'm extremely sorry. We use a write range. It has to be a read range. It has to be a write range. Okay. So I'll just do it. I'll use the same file here. There you go. I'll paste it here. And the column, I'm not interested in it. Data table, the name is going to be extract data table only. And I'll delete this. Okay. So ideally we need to scrape the data again. Sorry for that. Let us go ahead and do it one more time. So it will start scraping the data and it will scrape the data for all the pages that I have. Ideally we have 11 pages, so he'll skip 11 pages. And the moment he comes across the last page, that is 11th page, he'll still try to see, if there is any other page left or not. So, in UiPath, every activity is timed to 30 seconds. So he will keep on trying for 30 seconds. Post 30 seconds, if you figure out that, there is nothing to be scraped more, data scraping activity will stop and the rest other activity will start continuing from there. Okay, so the 30-second wait is very long here, right? Perfect. So I think so the right range activity would have completed. Let me do a quick refresh. Now you can see the all items Excel page is here. Okay, perfect. So now you can see this is all the elements that are present here. So you can see each and everything is, present here. That is, we are able to scrape the entire data from the web pages. Now, let us go ahead and, filter out this data. What do I mean by filter outing? Is our process is I want only WI5 element. But if you see, we have scraped each and everything, as in starting from WI1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, out of which we are only interested in WI5. How do I filter the data? Filtering the data is also very simple. We have a lot of activities inside data table activity. From here, I'll choose this called as filter data table. I'll drag and drop the filter data table. And over here, you can see there is an option called as filter wizard. I'll click on this option and a new window comes up. Now carefully see what is this window responsible for. In this window, you can see on the top, there are two options, input data table and output data table. Now, what do you mean by input data table? As in, pass me the data table on which you want to do the filtration. Obviously, we know the data table is extract data table only because on this data table, I want to do the filtration. Now, filter says, if I do a filtration, I will store the filtered data into a new data table. So you have to pass the new data table over here. So we can just create a new data table here. So I'll say Control K and create the new data table. I'll name it as WI5 data table because this will only consist of WI5 elements only. Now let us look at the filtration. So over here, you have to give the column name. So if you see the website, so the column name is type. So over here, you'll have to give the column name within double quotes. Make sure you are using the same casing. So it's T is capital, type. What is the operation that you want to do? I'll say if the type is equal to what? Equal to WI5. So I'll copy this WI5 element from here. So I'll say if the type is equal to WI5. In our case, I'll say I want WI5 only. But if you see over here, there is a lot of options here. Greater than, not equal to, less than equal to, ends with, starts with, contain, does not start with. So it's purely depend upon the, what is the process requirement. But here my process requirement is if the type is equal to WI5. What do I do with it? Do I keep it or do I remove it? If I say keep it, that means from the extract data table, I'll only take WI5 element and put it here in this new data table. If I say remove it, that means from the extract data table, I'll remove all WI5 element and I'll store rest all thing into this element. Our case is only keep. We are not going to say remove it. We are just going to say we need to keep it. Perfect. As simple as it is. I'll say, okay, done, perfect. So, let us go ahead and scrape the data. Again, I'll delete this. And, even for the, sake of understanding, I'll write it again into the Excel file. So I'll use a write range activity. Now, this is the WI5 element. So I'll say there's a WI5.XLXS. And what is the data table name that we gave? WI5 data table. So I'll write WI5 data table here. So this is going to store extract data table. That is all the information. And this Excel is going to store only the WI5 information. So let us go ahead and try scraping this data again. So as I said, it will scrape, it will go till all the 11 pages. So let that happen. And then I'll open up the Excel file and show you what is it. Okay, so we are on the 11th page. Let's wait for 30 seconds and then the automation will continue. That is write range will happen, then filtration will happen, and then again write range will happen. Done. So now let us see what exactly happened. So let me do a quick refresh. So now you can see there are two Excel files. Let me open up this Excel file and let me also open up the WI5 Excel file. Okay, so this is the WI5 Excel file. So let us see how many data do we have here. So we have roughly around 15 data. We can also check from here. I'm not an Excel expert, but what I know is we need to.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can we, sir? I have a question. Can
yes.
Sir, can we truncate the substring of say WI using the filter data table activity?
You can. I didn't get you.
Sir, how?
I did not get your question.
Sir, I say simply I want a WI, not the numbers. Can we do it using the filter data table activity?
You can pass a regex over there.
Okay.
Okay, so I think so this is how we apply filter. So I applied a filter as in I want only WI5 element here. And then you can see we had 15 records into the all items. And when we filter out, we also had 15 records. That means our filter operation is, perfectly working fine. There is no issue at all. I hope this filter is understood to everyone. Data scraping and filter. I'll pause here for 2 minutes and then I'll proceed further. If anybody has questions, please, raise a query, unmute yourself.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
so in place of password, I have to give a QR code, for example.
In place of password, I have to give a QR code.
Yes, sir. For example, WhatsApp is there, sir. So my requirement is within the WhatsApp, whatever the information I've been sharing on a daily basis, it has to go to a report.
Okay.
So the WhatsApp has to be opened on the browser.
Okay.
Right, sir. So when I'm opening on the browser, it asks for the QR code of the cell, right?
Correct.
Of my number. So how do I capture that?
You can capture it. You can capture it as an image. You can save that image. We can do that.
Image. All right, sir.
Yes.
Possible, sir?
Yep, it's possible.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So any questions in this? Yes, please.
Sir, I have a doubt. Previously, you have done read range. So what is the difference? Why there was an error? Why? Because in write range,
it's a read range. So probably we have done this example last session itself. So read range is
Yes.
responsible to read from the Excel file, but our case is we were supposed to write into the Excel file, right?
Okay, so in which application we can use that read range?
When you want to read from the Excel file, you have to say read range activity.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so any
Sir,
other
I have a
questions?
question.
Yes, yes.
Sir, why we normally use the Excel files, not CSV files in
We also
UiPath?
have, no, we also have CSV activity. So if you can see, we also have the
Normally, whenever
CSV
we have to
activity.
write the data, we already can we edit. Can we do the operations on similar operations on the CSV files as we do on the Excel files?
So see, basically everything is a data table only. So you can perform operation on data table, but in the
Okay.
CSV you have only these options only: read CSV, write CSV, and append to CSV. As in, you
Okay.
cannot do read only that column, because CSV is not a column data, right? It's a comma separated value only.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can even open CSV in PDF or any other application that you want.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So the access WFI element is done. So I hope everything is sorted till here. So probably, I can merge everything together and I'll show you, how things will look like. So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to say login. After I log in, I'll say I want to access the work item. After accessing work item, I'll say I want to access the WI5 element. You know, just 2-3 minutes more and probably I'll run this and then we'll proceed further. So now I'm going to run this code. So it will start from the very first page, that is login. Perfect. Work item. Now it is going to scrape the entire work item. So now you can see all the bits and pieces that we were developing. Now this is making sense because we're connecting each and everything together. So ideally it is going to scrape and then the automation is going to stop because we haven't done anything so far apart from that. Okay, so we are on the last page, 30 seconds more, and then we will continue further. Okay, a couple of seconds more. Perfect, done. So now the automation has stopped and we are not, if you see, I have just deleted this Excel file. These are the Excel files which were, generated on when we ran the automation for the previous time. So now there is no generation of Excel files at all. Now let us move ahead. What we can do now. So we were able to select an activity of the type WI5. Now it says copy the client information from the page. So now the next thing that we need to do is, how do I copy the information from the client page? So let's go ahead and do that. So probably for that, what we have to do is, first is we have to open the WI5 element. That is the first step that we have to do. Now everyone, please look carefully at the web address. I'm opening the first WFI element. So the web URL is in this way: acmetest.uipath.com/work item/some numbers. And if you can see, this number is the WIID number. They both are same, this number and this number. WIID is also available here only in this data table. So this is the number. Now let me open the second WI5 element. So you can see I don't have any WIF element in the first page. Let me go to the second page. Do I have WIF element? Yes, I have WIF element. And let me open this web page. Again, see the URL. The URL is acme-test.uipath.com/work item/a number. What is this number? This number is WIID element. There is one more WIF element. I'll click on this. Again, see this URL. So now you can make a pattern, right? So the URL is same. Till this point, the URL is completely same. Only this number keeps on changing. And what is this number? This number is nothing but the WIID number. And we also have this WIID number. So if you remember, when we scraped the data, we scraped each and everything. So we also have WIID scraped with us. So now, instead of manually going and clicking here and there, I can directly say this is the URL, directly open up this URL, because I know what is the URL for each and every page. The URL for each and every page is common till here. So the URL is common till this part, and this number is going to change. I have this number stored in my data table. I can append it. I can use a plus sign, and I can append the WID element, and I can say open up this web page. So let us go ahead and do that. So I'll have to first copy the client information. So ideally for that, I'll have to make a sequence. Let me name the sequence as copy client code. I can put it in this way. I'll say copy client information. There you go. I'll just create it. Now, what is the first thing that you need to do? The first thing that you need to do is you need to open up this web page. But before that, you'll have to tell him the attached page application, as in where were you when you began this application. So probably I can use an attached browser application over here. And then I'll say indicate on screen. And this is the page that I was previously working on. Now, we have an activity. The activity name is called as navigate to. I'll repeat again, we have an activity. The activity name is called as navigate to. It's a browser activity. So you can see it comes from the browser packages. What does navigate to is responsible for? So it says navigate to the URL that you provide. As in, if you are already in a new page and you want to navigate to some other page, use navigate to. If you say open browser, it is going to open up a new tab, new window for yourself. But what navigate to will do is within the same window browser tab, it is going to take you to some other pages. Now, we know what is that other page link is going to be. So the link is going to be this one, Acme blah 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 till work item, and then this piece of information. Now my next thing is, where do I get this piece of information from? Now this piece of information is stored here in this filter data table, that is in this WI5 data table. What I need to do is I need to pass this information to this page. So how do I do that? It is very simple. We'll make use of arguments. So, when you started learning from Academy, the very first thing was variables, arguments. So we are going to use the arguments here. So I need to convert this WI5 data table into the argument. So argument is nothing but, it's a kind of a variable only, but the only requirement that, why we need argument is if we have to pass values from one workflow to another workflow. At that case, we need argument because variables cannot pass values from one workflow to another. Variables can only pass values within the same workflow. If you want to pass values from one workflow to another workflow, we have to make use of arguments. Arguments can also pass values within the same workflow also. Plus, it also allows you to pass values from one workflow to the another workflow. So this is a variable. How do you convert it into an argument? Right click on this and say convert to argument. So you can see this is an argument converted. Now, if you create an argument, you can see there's a direction here. It's in, out, and in, out. So in basically means I am expecting something. Out means I'm going to give the value to someone. So basically this is responsible to give out a value, and this copy client information is responsible to take the argument. So you'll have to name the direction in this way, out or in. And we also follow the naming convention for, arguments, as in if the direction of the argument is out, we name the variable in this way, out underscore the name. So we'll have to use the same name here. So probably I'll just copy the same name here and I'll create an argument here. So I'll go to the argument panel. I'll create an argument here. The direction is going to be in, but I'll make sure that the naming convention says in, as in this is responsible to take in the value. And also please make sure that, whatever is the argument type, make sure the same argument type is set here because it was a data table. I'm also going to set it as a data table here. So I have passed an argument here. I have taken the argument here. Now, before I do navigate to, what I need to do is I need to use a for each row because it's a data table, right? I'm going to use a for each row. Over here, I'm going to pass this data table. That is this one. And for each and every element, I need to open up the page because for each WF element, I need to open up the page, right? So for each and every element, I'll say open up the page. Now, let me just copy the URL from here. So I'll copy this entire URL from here and let me paste it over here within the double quotes. Now what is going to change is this element is going to change. Now, what do I change? I'll have to change this WID element because this is the WID element that is going to be appended. I have this entire piece of information in the data table. So this is row of 0, row of 1. So my WID element is present in row of 1. So over here, what I'm going to append is I'm going to say row of 1 dot toString. As simple as it is. So I'm just saying loop across to each and every page and then say navigate to this page. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to explicitly add a message box here in between and just I'll type a message here. That's it. So I'll say this is, WIF element. I don't need to print anything. I just want to display a message so that I can distinguish whether each and every page is opening up or not. Okay, things are done. Now I'll come back to the main workflow. And in the main workflow, after accessing WIF element, I need to drag and drop copy client information. Now you can see there are two oranges here because we have added arguments into it. You can see this is giving out an argument. If I click here, you can see this is taking in an argument. This is going to give out an value and this particular workflow is going to take in a value. So how do you pass the values in among them? It's very simple. You have to create a value here or a variable here. So what variable or how are you going to name the variable is this one, only WI5 data table. Sorry. So I am going to name it in this way. So I'll say WI5 data table. Now that is how you can make a distinction between out WI5 data table, in WI5 data table, and only WI5 data table. So now you can see there's a variable created called as WI5 data table, which is of the data type data table. Now what will happen is this out will give the information to this fellow, that is WI5 data table. Now you'll have to make sure that you pass this variable here as the in argument over here. So that is how you pass values between two workflows with the help of an argument. So let me just quickly log out because I need to scrape the data again because I don't have the scraped information data stored. So I'll say run the file. So we'll run it from the starting. That is login, then clicking on work item, then extracting all the elements that I have. So probably it is going to take some time. And after, I extract all the information or all the data from this page, then I'm going to do a filtration. What is that filtration responsible to do? The filtration is only filtering out WI5 elements only. After I filter out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up all the WI5 page one after the another because I've looped them across using a for each row. So let us wait for it to get completed. Perfect. So now you can see this is the first WI5 element that has opened up. You can see client ID, client name, client country. So ideally, if you remember when we scraped the data, we had around 15 pages. So let us see if we are able to open up all the 15 pages. So this is the second page. Third, you can see all the names are different here. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11, 12, 13, 14, and probably this should be the last 15 element. So you can see we were able to open up each and every page because we said navigate to, and then we explicitly mentioned a message box here. Now, what I need to do next over here is I've still not completed it because it says copy client information. I haven't copied the client information till yet, right? So I need to copy the client information over here. How do I copy the client information? If I need to get something from the page, till now we know we have an activity. The activity name is called as get text. So we will use the get text element and we'll get the ID, we'll get the name, and we'll get the country. Fine. So let me go ahead and use the activity. The activity name is called as get text. I'll drag and drop the get text here. Indicate on the screen. What do I want? I only want this piece of information. Oh, sorry. What do I want? I only want this piece of information. But client ID, client name, and client country. But I don't need that. I need the value of it. As in, I need this HR1, I need this Clement, and I need this Romania. But if you see, the moment I put the cursor here, I'm not able to identify each and every element. Reason, this web page was built in this way. Purposefully, it was built in this way. As in, you'll not be able to fetch single values from here. You will be only be fetching all the three values together. You can't only fetch a single piece of information from here using get text. If you want to get only a single piece of information, you can use get OCR text, put a boundary across it, screen scraping probably, put a boundary across it, and get only client ID, get only client name, and get only the country, Romania. That you can do, but I'll also tell you, one of the ways how you can use your programming language knowledge and get the data from here. So I'll say I'll extract each and everything from here, okay? And I'll create a variable here. I'll say the variable name is called as client information or client data. I'll put it in this way. Okay. So what we have done over here so far is we have created, a value that is client data. Now the client data is going to have all the three information. If I say all the three information, that means it also has this part also, client ID colon and then this number, client name colon and then this name, client country colon and then the country name. So what we can do now is we can split the string. I hope people know this split function from the string. So we can split the string. How we can split the string? We can split the string with respect to a delimiter. What will be the delimiter in our case? The delimiter is going to be the colon. So we can take colon as the delimiter here. So let us go ahead and split the string over here. So I'm going to use and assign activity, and I'm going to split the string over here. So how do you split the string? So the variable name is client data. So it's client data dot split. There you go. And how do you split? You say within the quotes, the delimiter. So the delimiter is going to be a colon. Perfectly fine, no issues at all. But if you see, my data is not in a single line, correct? My data is, into multiple lines. This is a new data, this is a new data, and this is a new data. If you say split only with respect to colon, what will happen is the data will split here, and then this will be the second data because colon is here, right? And then this is the second data, and then the third data, and this would be the last data. You also need to say that my data is present in new lines so that it can only split this part and this part. Then it is going to split this part, and then it is going to split this part. I hope this makes sense. So how do you say that? Is very simple. Overload the parameter, and here you say environment dot new line. I'll just copy it over here and paste it into the notepad so that people can see it carefully. So this is how you split the data. So the variable name dot split, and then here is the colon. Colon is actually the delimiter. And then if your data is in a new line, so you'll have to add a comma, overload the parameter, and then say this part, that is environment dot new line. So you can make a note of this. So yep. Any questions? So Shalin, probably your mic is on. So I'll mute everyone. Okay. So now you can see over here, this is how I'm going to split my data. Now, as all of you would know that if you are going to split a data, the return type is a string array. So let us go ahead and store it into a string array. So over here, let me put a data and I'll put it here saying this is client data ARR, which makes sense because it's an array. Client spelling is perfect. Now, this is going to cause a problem because the client array which is created is of the type generic value. So let me go ahead and change it to an array. So you can click here and say array of T. What does a T represent? T represents string. I'll say array of string. So now when I save this, the error is gone. So now what is happening? This data is getting splitted and it is being stored into an array. Now, if you see how the data is going to be stored, it is going to be stored in this way. Array of 0, array of 1, array of 2, array of 3, 4, and 5. Out of which I'm only interested in this part. That is the first index, the third index, 0, 1, 2, 3, and the fifth index, 4 and 5. I hope this makes sense. Any doubt on the splitting part? If you have understood, give me a thumbs up in the chat box so that I can proceed further. Okay, so I'm getting a couple of confirmation. Okay, so let us proceed further. And let us probably, before moving further, I'll say let us print the values and see if we are able to get the correct information or not. So I'll just drop a couple of message box here. So I'll say this is client data ARR of 1 because I'm interested in 1. I'll copy this information, I'll paste it here, and I'll paste it one more time here. So this is for the name and this is for the country. Okay, so I'll do it for a couple of entries and then I'll forcefully stop the automation so that we will come to know whether our bot is running perfectly fine or not. Okay, so let me run the bot. So we have to do it from the starting. I hope people might understand why am I doing from the starting, because I need this data value, script data value. Okay, so we'll have to wait for all the 11 pages, to start executing. Okay, so all the 11 pages have executed themselves. Data would have been scraped. Let's wait for a couple of time, and then we should be able to open up each and every WFI element page. And for each and every WI5 page, I'm just printing a message box. So now we'll come to know whether a split function is perfectly working fine or not. Okay, so here it is. So you can see the first message box which comes up. This is the client ID, perfectly fine. Then the name, yes, this is fine. Then the Germany. Now the second record. So the page goes to the second record, and this is also correct. The name is also correct. The country is also correct. Let's do it for this last time. Yes, this is correct. This is also correct. And this is also correct. So I'll stop the bot here. So we know that this is working absolutely fine. I know this will work fine for the rest of the elements also. Now let us go ahead and see what is the next thing that we have to do here. So it says open SHA1 website and enter the correct formula, and then it says retrieve the hash code. Okay, fine. Let us go ahead and create a sequence. What shall we name it? We shall name it as SHA1 itself. Okay, so let me open SHA1 website here. Let me just copy this URL, and we know what activities that we are going to use over here. So our very first activity is going to be an open browser activity. I'll paste this here, and for the best practices here, we'll make sure that I use the maximize window. Now, what is the next thing that I need to do is I need to enter the values here. What do I need to enter? I need to enter the client name, client ID, and client country. And where will I get this? Copy client information is going to give me. Clear? So I'll just remove these elements from here. So what I'll do is, what is the array that I have created? The array is client data ARR. So I'll just create an argument here. So I'll say in underscore client data ARR, which is of the type what? String of array. So this is of the type string of array or array of string. Now I'll have to use a type into activity. So I'll say type into activity. Where do I type? I'll say I need to type over here. Now what do I type? If you can see here, this is the way that you need to type. That is client ID hyphen client name hyphen client country. Now we know that our client ID is present in row of 1, correct? So for best practices, I'll use a trim function if in case there is white spaces, so that white spaces will be trimmed off. So this is client ID. After client ID, we need an hyphen. So that hyphen is going to be a custom message. So within the double quotes, I'm going to print an hyphen here. I hope this makes sense to each and everyone. So I'll copy this information again. I'll paste it here. Now after client ID, I need client name. Client name is at row of 3. Again, I need a hyphen here. And then at the last, I need client country, that is row of 5. Let me copy it and put it in a notepad and show it to everyone what exactly we are doing over here. So you can see over here, this is what we are trying to achieve, as in client ID hyphen, this is the hyphen here, then client name, then a hyphen, then at the last it is client country. I hope this makes sense. So this is a type into activity which has performed. Now, what do I do next? I have to click on this button. Which activity is it? It is going to be a click activity. So I'll perform a click activity. And where do I click? Let me navigate to this page. I'll say I want to click here on the hash code. Let me generate some hash code here. So let me just generate a random hash code here. Don't worry about it because I only need this information here. So I need to fetch this information here. Fetching this information, we already know how to get information from the page because we have seen one activity. That activity name is called as get text. I'll use a get text and I'll say this is the information. You can see the boundary across this area. I'll say this is information that I want. Perfect. Now I'll have to store it in a variable. So I'll say control K. What is this value? This is an hash value. I'll say this is the hash value that I need to store it. Perfect. Then what do I need to do? I need to close this because each and every time I need to open up SHA1 and then do the same thing again and again. So the last activity that I'll do over here is I'll say close the browser. That is close the tab. Close only the SHA1 tab. Okay, absolutely working fine. No issues at all. Say for example, this is getting closed. What do I do next? I need to click here. That is click on where? Update work item. So how do you do that? Create a new sequence for that. Name it in this way so that you can understand it. So this is going to be update work item. There you go. So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to attach this page, right? Before moving further. So I'll say attach the browser. So drag and drop, attach a browser, and then click on update work item. So I'm going to use a click activity, drag and drop the click activity, and I'll say update work item. Now see carefully what happens if I click here. If I click here, what happens? A new browser or a new tab or a new window, whatever you want to call, is opened up. You also have to make sure that you attach this window because next time you're going to work in this window only. So make sure you attach this window. So I'll go ahead again in the UiPath Studio. I'm going to use another attach window or attach browser. I'm going to attach this browser, the new tab which has opened up. And what do I do here? I have to add the comments. What do we put in the comments? So the use case said add the hash value in the comment. And what do you do next year? Mark as completed. So there are two things which we have to do here. So let us go ahead and do that. So add a comment. Where will you get the comment from? You will get the comment from the SHA1 page, as in this variable here. So you'll have to make sure that you convert it into the argument. So I'll right click, I'll say convert into an argument because I have to pass this value. Since I need to pass this value, I'll name it as out underscore and the direction will also be an out direction. Since this is going to be an out direction, in the update work item, I'll create an argument which will say in underscore hash value because I'm going to take in the hash value. Direction is in, which is perfectly fine. No issues at all. We'll have to make sure that this is kept as generic string. Okay, we can make it a string if you want. That is not going to cause a problem. Okay, we'll keep it a generic string because it says okay, so it will be a generic value here. That is fine. You can keep string here because it can take any values. Or if you want, you can also, make it as generic value so that you match both the data type parameter of the argument. Okay, so let us proceed further and build the automation. So the very first thing that we need to do over here is we need to type into the value. So where do I type in? I need to type in here, add comments. What do I type it? I have to type in the hash value. So I'll say in underscore hash value. After that, I need to perform some click activities because I need to mark it as complete, right? So I'll just click here. So first click is for this, and then again click, another click here. So I'll again do a click activity, and then I'll do for completed. There you go. So it's completed, and the last we need to do is click on update work item. So we'll do another click activity over here. I'll say click on update work item. Now let me just add a random value and see what happens here. Okay, so we are getting a new window. So we also have to make sure that, we click on the OK here. So I'll use another click activity and I'll click on OK here. So let me see what happens if I click on OK. Okay. So then this web page is not getting closed. That means we need to close this web page. So we can use a close tab here and then it will close the web page. So if I close this web page, it comes here. Perfect. Now the only thing that is left is, we need to align those values to all together. As in, I'll tell you what. So this is the client information, that you have copied. After you copy the client information, what you have to do is you have to open SHA1 website, correct? For that particular client. After you have copied all the SHA1 website, so let me import this first. It is asking me for an int data, that is the array, right? So we have to pass the array here, client data ARR. So after I do the SHA1, I need to also update the work item. So I'll drag and drop the update work item here. So even the update work item is asking me for some values. So probably, what I can do is I can directly pass the hash value from here. So before that, this out argument, I'll create an hash value here. Make sure you give the same name because that is how you're going to keep the best practice in places. Out underscore is the argument. Hash value will be only the variable name. Perfect. And I'll pass the variable name here called as hash value. Perfect. Now I'll explain you the flow, the exact flow, what is going to happen. That is from the main. So what happens in the main? So let me close each and everything here. So in the main, what you're going to do is you're first going to call login. After login, you're going to call access work item. What is access work item? That is clicking on the work item. Then it says access WI5 element. So access WI5 element is what, we are scraping everything and we're only filtering and keeping only WI5 element. After that, we need to copy the client information. So here we are copying the client information as in the client ID, client name, and client country. After I copy, what do? I need to open SHA1. That's the reason I'm calling SHA1 here only. That is for each and every WI5 element, you need to do this. So I'm calling SHA1 here. After SHA1, I need to update the work item. I'm calling the update work item here. After I update the work item, what do I need to do next? I need to move on to the second WI5 element. So it loops again the same thing. Then for the third element, fourth element, so on and so on and so on. So now it's the moment of truth. Let me see, if things work perfectly fine here. So let me just have a double check here if you are missing anything here. So probably to make the automation complete a little fast, I'll say simulate type here. And probably SHA1 website also. For this part, I can say simulate type is true. Okay, so I'll save everything and let me run this automation. Okay, so the scraping has started successfully. Okay, I'll have to stop this automation in between. Sorry for that. A reason is because, I completely forgot to reset the data, because if you see here, one of my work items will be marked as completed. So let me just reset the data here. Okay. So let me go back to home. So now you can see I have 14 data. That's fine. Let me log out and let me run it again.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this problem with this reset data, while
Mhm.
we are doing in between, it is showing this pop-up.
Hmm.
So if it is in between the workflow, if that pop-up comes, the entire board will
Yeah, but
break.
then, yeah, so we are not going to reset the data in between the bot. So we are just doing it before the bot is running.
But if automatically, if it is running as a bot, if it is popping up this menu for a
No,
user, it will be a
but a reset bot is only happening when you're going to click on that, right? So unless you are going to click on that, then the pop-up window is not going to come up, right?
no, sir. While I have started doing along with the class,
Mhm.
in between the after selecting work item, I have got a menu like there is no work items yet initialized like that. I got.
So you
So I
need to
need
reset
to.
the data.
Then I have gone back and reset the data. That
Correct.
is okay. But I am telling like if a bot is working in between, if it is showing like reset data, or if we are getting a pop-up like that, it will be a problem.
Yeah. So ideally, that will not happen for sure, because when you are logging for the first time, then and there only it will show no data. That how's the
Okay.
website built. Ideally, then it will not show.
Okay, after once, after logging or after several time, it will not show like that.
Yep.
Okay, sir.
So when you log in for the first time, then
First
you have to
time only
reset
it
the
will be.
data. Yes.
Okay, okay.
So now you can see, the bot is running absolutely fine. It is copying data, updating work item, then, navigating to other data, getting the hash value, putting it here. You can see the speed. I can still increase the speed. For several fields, I have not kept simulate type as true, because so that you can see how the bot is working. But I can increase the speed of the bot much more faster than comparatively what is happening here. But this also is comparatively very fast compared to a human. So probably I'm not sure now how many WIFI element I have, because I have resetted the data. So let the bot complete it, and then ideally we can, check at the last if each and every WIFI element was marked as completed or not. Any other doubt, people? You can please unmute yourself and we can utilize this time. Because I can't be able to see the chat box, because my cursor will move and the bot will be, a state of dilemma then.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. What happens when the
So your voice is
destination?
very, very low.
I don't know. Hello. Am I
Yes.
audible now?
Yep.
Yes, sir. What happens when the destination website is redesigned? Whether we need to do it all the processes once again?
Yes. Or primarily if it's, pages where you need to fill the data, you can use an anchoring and then you can build it. That would help your time. But ideally, we update though, we try to, make sure that we build a bot on those processes where update is not frequent. So now you can see the bot has completely stopped. So you can see it took around 3 minutes, 45 seconds for all the data to get completed. So let me just check. So is there a WFI element here? So there is a WFI element here which was marked as completed. And this is also marked as completed. Do we have on the third page? Yes. On the fourth page also we have only one that is got completed. Fifth page we did not had any one of the WFI element. That's the reason there is no updation here. Sixth page we have only two element, and on the seventh page we have nothing. Let's directly go and check on the last page. Okay, so last page does not have WFI element. Let us go back to the 13th page over here. So this is the last WFI element which was updated successfully. So as in now we were able to update all the WFI element that was present in our Acme website. Any questions so far? I know this would be a lot more data to shape in today, but trust me that this I hope people would have understood it, but I'll suggest or I'll please everyone to practice the same example again today itself, because this will give you a real confidence as in what actually automation can do. Or this is usually a most industry related use case that I'll say. It's not exactly the same industry use case, just a part of the industry that does it. So let's say, for example, there is a person who's responsible to, update the hash security value. So you can say every hour the data refreshes. So every hour the person has to do it. Now the person does not need to bother it because he has built his bot. Now every hour he can do it, or he can manually schedule it from the orchestrator saying, from every hour on this date, run the bot. So after 1 hour the bot will run, then after 1 hour the bot will run. So he don't have to even look at it whether the bot is running or not, or if the data is there or not. So the bot will do its job on its own. Any other questions? Let me see the chat box if you have any other questions here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have a doubt during the data scrapping.
Mm-hmm.
During the first time itself, when we have opened that browser for scrapping, we have scrapped the data as Excel sheet.
We're scraping the data and saving it into the Excel sheet.
Yes, sir. Or before that, there comes a pop-up asking whether the data has to be
Table.
saved as table.
Yep.
But while I have tried, I haven't got that pop-up. Why?
No, you will get it for sure. This work, we haven't seen any of the example where it does not do. So this is going to work. You have to make sure you click on any one of the cell value here, be it the name, column name, or any cell value here. Click on any one of the cell value. This is going to work. You can try it one more time. It
Sir,
will work for sure, ma'am.
okay. Or attached browser, is there anything we need to do specifically for attaching browser?
No,
Simply we need to click on the browser, is it?
correct. That's it. Anywhere in the browser.
For recording part.
Yep. Any other questions, people?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, my question is, if I have completed a
Browser,
course
while
in
we start the
academy.
data.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
if I have completed a course in academy and also completed the quiz for that particular course,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to go back for that course, then the quiz also lost. So go through the course content.
No, the quizzes will be there. It's
No,
not
so
like.
yeah. But in that case, I have to go through those quiz again and again.
No, you don't have to go to the quiz again and again. The quiz will be marked as completed only.
But in my case, it shows that the status as a completed, or in other case, it shows blank.
No, the status would be marked as completed. I know because if you want to learn from it, so there is
Yeah.
no need to, again go and do the test. So let me just quickly open it. I'll also show you.
Okay, thank you so much.
So we can see this is the URL that we shared across to you. So this was only specific design for this workshop itself. So you can see for me, it's 100% completed. So let's say, for example, if I want to go ahead and learn about data manipulation, so I can directly go ahead and go to the chapter again, and I can learn data manipulation from there. So there is no need to go and appear for the test. Appear for, you can see this, everything is marked as completed. even the quiz. So you can revisit any of these topics and you can start learning again from there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome so much.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have the same doubt regarding the question that she asked now. I have actually finished a chapter and I finished the quiz. Even after taking the credit, it is showing that the chapter is not completed.
Okay, so probably first thing first, who is scribbling on the screen? So what you can do is ideally you can clear the cache of your browser and then try it. If in case
did
it
that,
is
sir.
so if in case it's still the same, so you can raise a ticket. So probably my team will look internally and they can look at your matter. So
Okay,
that
how
you
to
can
do
also
that,
do.
sir?
I'll pass you the link. What is that link for it? Or you can even contact Radhika. So
Okay.
you have received a mail from Radhika, right, about this training?
Yeah.
So you can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Radhika or Darshan, both people are the person who will responsible to do it. So you can even get in touch with them.
Okay.
They'll help you out for it.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Can you repeat
Sir,
that argument?
Okay. So one at a time, please.
Sir, can you repeat that argument passage between the workflow?
Okay. So argument passing, let's say, for example, we'll do the argument passing for this. So here you can see this is, giving out a data table and this is taking in a data table. What exactly we want is from one workflow, a value to be passed on to another workflow. So you can see carefully here that the data table was created here. I want to give this value and this is where I need the data table value. So you can directly pass an argument to argument. An argument has to be given to a variable and that variable has to be passed as an argument to the second workflow. And who's responsible for the variable? The main. Reason why? Because in the main class, you're calling both the workflows, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. What was the question? So your voice is breaking a lot, sir.
Sir, after completing the course at some later point of time, if I want to check these study materials again, is it possible?
Yes, yes. The study material will be there throughout your life, sir. So it's not like, after the training, it will be stopped. It will be there for sure.
In that UiPath link, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And sir, is it possible to post today's session video?
Yes, I'll be
Today
posting
itself?
it. Yes, yes. Today I'll be posting it. I'll just post it after it gets uploaded. I'll post it today itself only, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
okay. Thank you so much, guys. So we have extended
Hello,
8
sir.
minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Hello,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
I have a doubt.
Yeah,
Sir, the first initial course, no, sir, introduction to RPA, that is before starting this course.
Step into RPA.
Step into RPA. That I completed. I got the certificate also.
Yes.
But the is that certificate, the last name was my husband name was there. So
Okay, ma'am, that could also be solved. That's not an issue. So you can connect with Radhika. She'll help you out to get that solved.
I have already sent message to her on the first day itself.
Okay.
After setting, I have changed my name also, but I didn't get any reply from her. I have
Yeah.
sent
Yeah. So probably after this training, probably she takes care of all the certification.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
build a
And
bot
one
for
more.
all. Yeah.
Okay. One more doubt. And any assignments like projects we have to do and submit apart from
Yes. So
what are they,
yes.
sir?
So today or tomorrow, probably you will get one bot building exercises.
Sure. Okay.
It will not be as tough as this, but yes, you'll have to apply some logic on building that. So I'll
Okay.
post it on
Okay.
Google Classroom. So you have to complete that. So if you remember, see in the Google Classroom, the date that is given is probably 3rd of August,
Sir.
right? Yes. So
Yeah.
everything will have a deadline till 3rd of August.
Okay. So before August 3rd, we have to complete all the assignments.
Yep. So it's August 3rd. So the entire day till the night you can complete it. and you can submit it.
Okay. Okay. We have to submit there itself in classroom itself.
Yep,
Will be
yep, in the Google Classroom itself.
okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And there would be some submission guidelines written, so you'll have to also record a video of it. So I'll
Okay.
post everything in
Okay.
the Google Classroom only.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes, please, sir.
Sir, in a split method, can we use string as a delimiter?
Yeah, the colon is also a string only, sir. You can use any string as a delimiter.
Okay, but I have tried. I think it shows that it is a character. String is not be used in.
No, you can use any, even the colon is also a string, right? So you can use that also. It also depends upon your logic, how do you want to split it. In our case, we had to split it via colon only because colon is the delimiter, right, for us. Okay. Any other questions? So we have already exceeded 10 minutes. So probably if people have doubts, please post it on the Google Classroom. So I'll be happy to, answer the queries over there. So I hope everyone would have understood it, what we have done today. It was, I understand it was a very heavy topic today, but it's very compulsory to, in the training itself to show you actual use case. So
So
we
one
have,
more thing, sir. So one
yes,
more doubt.
yes, yeah, yeah.
So that UiPath challenge I saw in the Google Classroom somebody posted. So is it
RPHL. No, see, all I wanted is, there should be a collaboration between them. So people are just posting their scores into it. I like it,
okay?
people posting it. So, all of you can get a competition sense. If you
Okay,
want to
it's not
post it, you have
mandatory right now,
no,
right?
no, 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 it's not mandatory,
Okay.
ma'am. We just
Okay,
want
thank
it
you.
to be engaging. And yes, before
Okay.
leaving Flipgrid videos, it's a compulsory criteria.
Yeah, that we will do.
Yeah, so
Okay,
please
okay, sir.
complete
Thank you.
your Flipgrid videos also soon.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, people. So we have our last session on Wednesday, that is 29th. So before that, make sure you complete all the, orchestrator. Go through the orchestrator video because today itself you will, see it, how to schedule your bot, how to run your bot, so you can do that. So tomorrow, that is Wednesday, we'll be looking at email automation and we'll look at some basic examples on orchestrator also. Okay, so till that time we meet on Wednesday. Bye bye everyone. Take care. Happy automation.